These are 5 things you should always stay plugged into as a worship leader, as a songwriter, as a musician, as a singer. Number 1, stay plugged into the Holy Spirit. We are not in the industry of entertainment. So if we want to change lives, if we want to impact people, we have to stay plugged in to the Holy Spirit. We were created to bring heaven to earth. And without the Holy Spirit, we are just noise. Number 2, stay plugged into your pastor. Connect with him. Be intentional. Call him up. See how he's doing. Invite him to breakfast. See if he has some free time to hang out. Learn from him. Always stay connected to your pastor. It is such a healthy thing. Number 3, stay plugged into a church. Don't be a homeless worshiper. Get plugged into a church. I know so many musicians that are going around churches on weekends, but don't have a church to call home. They end up going around churches ministering, which I don't have anything against that, as long as you have a house that you can connect to every single week and be fed and be ministered to. A house where you can also come in and just rest and receive. When you are not plugged into a church, you end up being a malnourished musician. You know, I've learned something throughout the years in leading worship, is that worship leading gets easier when we do it out of a place of love. When we love our church, when we actually have a relationship with our church members, it gets so much easier. And I know how easy it is to get frustrated with your church when they are not responding to your way of worship. But it's so important to just connect with your church. How do you love your church? You connect with them. Get off stage. Don't just go to the green room. Come outside. Hang out with them. Love on them. Get plugged in with your church. Number 4, stay plugged into your team. Your team needs you. Don't be that worship leader that only comes to rehearsal and to service. And then when all that's done, you just disappear. You bolt. You're nowhere to be found. Your team needs you. Be involved with your team. Be involved in the processes of your team. Call them. Hang out at your house at least once a month. Get involved in their lives. Check up on them and see how they're doing. Your team needs you to be present. And number 5, stay plugged in to your heart. This is very important. Proverbs 4 verse 3 speaks about this so well. It says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. But see, sometimes I feel like we misinterpret this. At least I did. I don't know about you guys, but when I read this verse, I would always think like, oh, guard yourself from people. Like, don't get involved with that person. Don't get involved with this one. Be careful with that one. What Solomon was really talking about in this verse, he was really saying, like, take care of your heart. Does that make sense to you guys? Take care of your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. So, and another person that really knows about taking care of their heart was David. David was a person that was not afraid of expressing his feelings, of letting people know how he was feeling. And so this is very healthy. If we're going to be leading worship, if we're going to be leading a team, if we're going to be leaders leading other people, we need to learn how to process our emotions, how to express our hearts, how not to numb our hearts, not to shut down our emotions, but actually process them so that we can be healthy leaders. Some of us have been leading worship for so many years, disconnected from our hearts. We're constantly in a bad mood. We're constantly struggling with things. We're constantly shutting down our emotions. We're constantly ignoring our heart, that we've ended up with a numbed heart. We're so disconnected to our hearts. Learning to process your emotions is so important. It's the beginning of learning to do things from a place of rest. So here's a quick review of 5 things that we should stay plugged in as worship leaders. Number 1, stay plugged in to Holy Spirit. Number 2, stay plugged in to your pastor. Number 3, stay plugged in to a church. Number 4, stay plugged into your team. And number 5, stay plugged in to your heart.